Without further ado, let's kick off the workshop with our first speaker, Professor Joyashree Roy. Among her many highly distinguished roles around the world, Professor Roy is the director of the Center of South and Southeast Asian Multidisciplinary Applied Research Network on Transforming Societies of Global South Smart, an inaugural Bangabandhu Chair Professor at the School of Environment and the Development of Asian Institute of Technology, and a fellow of the Indian Council of Social Sciences and Research, ICSSR. She has published more than 160 peer-reviewed journal articles, authored, edited books, and is on the steering advisory committee of several national and international science policy platforms. She is also the editorial boards of many international journals. Please welcome Professor Joyashree Roy to the stage.
Hi, very good morning to everybody, and it's thanks to the project and the project director and for inviting me to speak on this occasion. Can I have my slides up, please? So what I'm going to do is give you a bigger picture within which we need to think of the concept of circular economy and why are we talking of circular economy almost everywhere. So that needs to be understood because that sets the scene for this 2 days program. If I can have my slides, that makes better sense. Saying that why are we talking of new things, right? So let's take in that spirit. Which means that making the economy circular will take lots of efforts. And that's something we are talking in the different assessment reports also. So this is a practical experience that why it will take a long time. Well, till it takes up, what I can start with is that basically what I'm going to discuss with you is that if we look into the major assessment reports which are coming out globally, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC report, and you know that the UNEP GAP report has also come out very recently, and where this is also showing that why do we need to think in terms of circular economy, because the greatest challenge now is about how we produce sustainably and how we consume sustainably. So if you look into the production system and consumption system which keeps our society moving, so how this needs to be for betterment of human well-being in near future and in the long run also. So that's the major question we are trying to answer globally and also in local context. So the way I have set up my talk is to discuss with you that right now we are living in a economic system globally and locally in every country. We make and dispose, and so we usually say use and throw society. The question is, how do we move from here to the circular economy where we use and reuse and we do not throw anything out as waste in the system? And that's how this is going to help in building human well-being. So with that in mind, what I'm trying to discuss is that 2 days back, only the emissions gap report, and where it is saying that the climate crisis will take a catastrophic turn unless we take action now. And IPCC report, which got published in the earlier this year, also said the same thing, that we need to act now to make the human well-being, to ensure that long-term human well-being is managed better. So what we are trying to say is that what is that space? What is that safe space, and have we crossed the safe space, or do we still have time to work differently so that we can make the space safe for human well-being, for ensuring human well-being, and to reduce uncertainty in terms of what is going to be the well-being outcome? So what this report shows is that if we are doing our, as I said, business as usual, that means the make and dispose kind of economic activity, if we continue with that, the human beings, if they decide to continue with that, then we will be at a point where we will be on this path. So basically, it says we are on this path of economic development, which means that there is going to be more emission in the atmosphere, and which will lead to higher temperature compared to what we are living on now. Remember that we are already living in 1.1 degree warmer world compared to the pre-industrial level, and which is leading to all different kind of climate system anomalies. So what is required? The science is very clear now that we need to be along these paths. So if we need to be along these paths of development, it means that we can reduce our emissions. So the whole question is, how can we reduce our emission? And this emission reduction will actually increase human well-being. So this is something which is important, and science is very clear on that. And if we are on this path, then human well-being is going to be more and more uncertain. But we want human well-being to be more certain. So what do we do? So if we can, so basically the countries all over the world has pledges for reducing their emission by adopting various technological solutions, different policy solutions, so that they can reduce emission. So with those pledges, what it shows is that we can reach up to this. That is also far off from where we want to be. And if we do a little more, that okay, every country said that after COP26 in Glasgow that we need to increase our ambition of emission reduction. With that also, we can reach only this much. Still, we cannot reach these goals. That means we are not doing enough. And if we are not doing enough, then what it means is that we are going to be still at least 2.8 degrees Celsius rise by the turn of the century, which is going to be disastrous for many, many human well-being dimensions. So basically what it says is that there is a huge gap which needs to be filled. So current technology deployment, current policies are not enough to make us secure in the long run. And for that, what is needed is that more action, more technology, and more policy changes all over the world. But all the time, it is also important to understand that the policymakers also want to know that what they can do. So it is the responsibility of the scientist again to come up with these solutions so that they can say, and in this gap report, the chapter which I was writing, so there we are saying that for which, because of the emission gap already, as I showed you, what we need is a huge transformation across four systems. So these four systems, energy system, industry system, building system, and the transport system, we need transformative changes. And why do we need the transformative changes in these systems? Because each of these systems have, once you create an infrastructure, it stays there for 40 to 80 years. Suppose if you start a new industry, that will be there for maybe next 40 years. So what kind of choices you are making in terms of infrastructure selection will tell you whether your economy is getting stuck or locked in on the high emission development pathway or not. And that is something is not desirable right now. And the world cannot afford to do that. So basically what it says is that we need transformation, and for a transformation, what also we need that initially we need to make plans, and with these plans we need to speed up, and then we need to stabilize. And for these three stages we need more action. So what we are doing today, I would explain it in the form of that we are basically at this stage, but we need to be here very, very, very soon. So how do we make this transformation possible is the bigger question. So what we are saying is that in the industry sector, I'm just showing that what is relevant for this, because that report says many more things. What it says is that if we look into the industry sector, there are few major things. These are the highest priority. One of the highest priority is how do you make the industrial system circular. Right now it works linearly, so how to make it circular is the fastest action that we need. And and what we need to avoid is the policies which are actually on the wrong side, narrowly defined, which we are saying, which support the linear economy. So we need policies which support the circular economy is one of the major priority which has been identified in the UNEP gap report. And from that point of view, what we are saying is that in the industry sector, we have identified what can make industry sector net zero, right? So by the timeline, what everybody is assuming. So by the mid-century. So we need to promote all mitigation. So all the list which you see here, all needs to be pursued together. So not only the, industry change and circularity should be the central point in it, and then different kinds of more electrification needs to be there, and new age that is being suggested for industrial sector, which means that if you do not have a circularity, you miss out on achieving the net zero. So basically what we are saying is that this circular economy concept is one of the three major mega trends. One mega trend is sharing economy, another is circular economy, another is digitalization. And we wrote in the IPCC report, and we are trying to show that these three are highly interconnected. So these three mega trends, any country, if adopts these three mega trends, they can reach the net zero much faster. And so what we are saying is that for circular economy now, it is really the multiple goals which it meets. So it's just not the mitigation, it's also a mitigation approach. It can deliver human well-being, and it can minimize the waste of energy and resources, and it can reduce the primary production need, because that's something which we need to know how to scale down the primary production. That is one of the major goals. So a sense of the circular economy, we are saying that it has to shift away in every industrial activity. Every industry will need to pledge soon that they have to show how they are moving away from make and dispose to circular economy concept. So this is something going to be an imperative, like the nations are making pledges, so industries will also need to make such pledges soon. So basically what it says is that if we look into, if we emphasize the longevity, so long-lived products, it's not short-lived products. The mattress that we saw outside, it needs to be that if you buy, how this can give you longer service, not that every 5 years, every 3 years you change it. So how can you live it longer, and so that it can reduce the primary production need? It needs to be refurbished, it needs to be recycled, and material efficiency can enhance for the industry. For industry sector, this is one of the most important finding, that they have to change the product design. And this actually circular economy enables the circular material system, and which reduces the embodied energy and emission. This is how industry sector can only become net zero. Otherwise, they will not be able to become net zero. So what we actually wrote in the past IPCC report is that we showed that basically it's the material processing extraction, this is the mining, and then you have the material processing. And this material processing takes away the highest energy. And so how you can reduce the primary material processing need is the major technological innovation that is needed. And that can happen if you can increase the product use lifetime, and also if you can reuse the waste material, and so which we are showing here, the how you recirculate the waste material, because we are saying that these products which are making are actually the material which can come back to the production system, but we have been throwing it out. So instead of, so these materials which are created by industries are like the substitutes for the primary materials. So this is something which we need to look into, and otherwise this is just getting wasted. So how can you make it reusable in the system is the most important thing. So basically it says, you know, we have the numbers now in the UNEP report where we are showing that for metals from around 25 to 85%, depending on which country. So they are recycling the metals. But if you look into the end use products, like say mattress is one example, then we say that only 10% is getting recycled, 90% is getting wasted. So this is something, a very important area where we need to really work on, and that really needs to the international supply chain also. How do you make it more sustainable? So basically we are saying that we need these for improving the fuel economy, and circular economy concepts are becoming in many ways. So one, as I said, material efficiency and material recirculation. The other one is becoming is that how bioeconomy, circular bioeconomy you can build up. So circular economy concept is coming in multiple ways. So how can you make the bioeconomy, bio-based materials, and that is more, gives more circularity into the economy, and also how can you make the carbon circular economy, which is like the carbon you are emitting, how can you take it out and then reuse or put under the ground, or you can do the carbon dioxide removal economy. So these are becoming three different, so one is material, one is bio-based, and one is carbon-based circular economy concepts, which are going to dominate in coming decades. And so we do need research on that, but also very clearly we showed that if we look into the circular economy, then we see that it has very high relation with maximum number of sustainable development goals. You can see that how this is really closely related to the almost most of the highest link with the different sustainable development goals. You know, these color codes and these numbers are showing the different sustainable development goals, like the sustainable development goal 6, water, the 8, which is economic growth. So there are several other, you can look into those. So this has the highest sustainable development goal connection, which means that this is sustainable production system is circular system. So that is really going to be the major way forward. So another thing which we need to understand is that when we talk of the circular economy, actually the actor network, societal actor network is going to change. So that's why today we have different stakeholders. What it means that we need the producer, the seller, and the consumer to come together to decide how to take forward this circular economy. Earlier it was producer and then throw it, and then you don't have to worry about seller and consumer. But now it has to be a different model of economic activity and the network which will drive this circular economy. And so we are saying that is the consumer. So this is something which we came up in IPCC report, where we showed that if we look into the demand, if we shift the demand for sustainable consumption, and if we make the long-lived products, then 5% of the industrial emission can be reduced. And also, if we go for end of the life product, like the mattresses, end of the life product, and then if we try to get the material and do the further remanufacturing, etc., then it is still additional 5% reduction in the industrial emission is possible. And next 21% can come if we can make the production processes more efficient in terms of material, so less material using. So basically what we need to invest for any industry is investment in recycling and refurbishing and those kind of infrastructure with each industry. And so it's the industry's responsibility to take it back and then remanufacture and refurbish. So that is going to be another new direction which is going to come up soon in many countries. So basically what we are saying is that right now we are on a linear economy where we are producing, using and throwing, but then we need to move to the circular economy. This economy is bigger now, but circular economy has to become the only way of industrial development. So the question is, who should lead this transition, right? So here I know the research innovation is happening, that is the knowledge creation is one of the arm. Then non is the company who we are seeing as a major player, and this is something both in IPCC report and in UNEP report we are saying that private sector and how these young entrepreneurs are going towards the sustainable production system is going to be again a major landmark for leading this transition. So from that point of view, what we are saying is that it's just not one actor who can do this, so there needs to be the national policies, there needs to be international cooperation, and because these products move around all over the world, so how you do the international cooperation, how you make the subnational governments implement policies for these, because these companies will be established in many of the small districts, sub-districts, so how those incentives can be built for encouraging or inviting such sustainable production systems within their, and then also what is needed is businesses, need business model. Non is the real example which is showing that how to do this on a business scale, and so it means, that's why I said it's not easy task, right? So there is a lot of effort now going on to develop this new business model, and also there needs to be new investment criteria for the financial institution to fund such efforts. So these are going to be the sustainable production system. If you go by the normal financial banking rules, they do not fund such because they will identify this as a risky job. But then how do you show that these risks are low if you look into the sustainable development goals? So you have to position these businesses differently. And what is also needed is for citizens like all of us, we need to make right choices. We need to become the role models, and so that the social norm changes from not use and throw society, but to long-lived products and circular economy. With these words, I'll stop here and I'll take any questions if you have. Thank you very much.